Hi, I'm Tom Lydon with ETF Trends, and with me today is Mitch Reiner with Wela Strategies, right, Mitch?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Mitch's group, you guys have been very, very innovative. Not just one of the new up-and-coming ETF strategists, but also you specialize in kind of alt strategies in the fixed income area.
Sure, yeah.
Very topical subject, as you know, many advisors are looking to, not only be non-correlated in that space, but with 30 years of declining rates and the potential potholes might be coming down the road. How are you guys looking at this market? How are you currently structured, and what are some of the tools that you use to be able to create these portfolios for advisors?
That's the issue, right? We're stuck in a low rate environment, and everyone's been talking about, we've been attending these conferences for decades.
Right.
Everybody talks about this growing problem of baby boomers soon to retire, but nobody's really attached to the idea and changed the concept of the way that they actually manage portfolios. So yes, it's here, it's upon us. The first stage of baby boomers is already retiring, and that's the challenge, low or rising rate environment, and where are we going to get yield?
Yeah.
So we've kind of changed that conversation for a long time at our wealth management firm, and have applied it to Wela Strategies in one of our portfolios. So a portfolio we call the ag yield, aggregate yield.
Okay.
We basically divide the world of yield up into three sleeves. You have fixed income, where we use ETFs to basically make duration calls or spread calls.
Yeah.
Then the second sleeve is closed-end funds, which we believe is a very underappreciated asset class, and there's great opportunities to actually...
And very liquid.
Yeah, so liquidity is certainly an issue, and,
Yeah.
and managing that ability, both with the use of ETFs to get exposure there,
Yeah.
And existing closed-end funds. So that sleeve is a huge opportunity, we believe, that just most advisors don't understand well enough to implement themselves.
Yeah.
And then lastly, we call it alternative income. And it's combining REITs, MLPs, and preferreds, and really just being able to dial up and down with a lever each of those different asset classes in different environments, both get you a total return and a yield that you kind of demand. I mean, just look at MLPs, for example, right?
Yeah.
MLPs have a natural built-in hedge against rising rates or rising inflation. They increase their payments to you every month along with PPI.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying the MLPs, we're not hopping on that boat, but there's a certain time to be overly invested or overweight those MLPs.
Yeah.
And then just the correlation over time of preferreds relative to REITs, there's a way to dial up and down those exposures to get a good yield, and an equity-like yield, but also be uncorrelated with interest rates or the macro environment that faces fixed income.
Sure. So for the average advisor out there that knows that all these individual tools, you mentioned
Right.
REITs, you mentioned MLPs, you mentioned closed-end funds, more tools than ever available in the alt space today. But the question is, internally in my shop, do I have the strategies to be able to put these together? You folks provide those strategies, and you're available on multiple different platforms, right?
Sure.
And working with you is fairly easy. It's just, basically putting a contract together, and you're available in most of the major brokerage arenas. Is
Sure.
that right?
Yeah. So that's the issue, right?
Yeah.
Is I understand, Mitch. I understand how a closed-end fund works. They trade at a premium or a discount, and
Yeah.
it owns a specific type of assets, but how do you really combine that limited knowledge that you have on closed-end funds with MLPs and REITs? When is it time to dial up your exposure to MLPs and down with REITs or into closed-end funds? That's the challenge that a lot of advisors, when you're out there really hunting and grabbing business, that's the challenge that they face. Am I really investing the proper amount of time into these different yield asset classes to really create the return that my clients need? And that's why folks are hiring us.
Yep.
Yes, we are available across multiple platforms like InvestNet, like LPL, via PlaceMark, so many different ways to access us. It just is dependent on the pipe of which you're kind of dialed in on to gain access to us.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And finally, ETF general strategists like you, it's kind of like the mutual fund business of the early 80s when you're popping up all over the place. Everybody's got different types of strategies. It's new, innovative, and exciting. And when you see all the money that's been coming out of active mutual funds for all the right reasons, underperformance, non-transparency, higher fees, it must be an exciting time.
It's exciting. I mean, look, we're riding the coattails of ETFs. I mean, ETFs are a unique tool that's been created for us to be able to target specific asset classes. The ag yield would have never existed before, but now we're able to target MLP exposure when we want it. We're able to target international REIT exposure when we want it. So that's what we're riding on. It is exciting, but you know what it's ultimately exciting for is the investor. I truly believe that's why we got into this business. We're providing a low-cost solution with low-cost tools so that it is a better mousetrap. And ultimately, if the work that we're doing every day in Atlanta at Wela is driving lower costs to the end client, that's what's most important to us.
Great. Mitch, thanks for your time
I
today.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.